To learn more about earning college credits with study hall courses, visit gostudyhall.com or click the link in the description. Imagine you're crossing this tiny rickety bridge across a gaping chasm. The bridge is wobbling in the wind. Each step feels precarious. You can see river rapids gushing beneath your feet. I'm just nervous thinking about it. Then you make it to the other side. Your heart is pounding, and then the most attractive person you've ever seen walks right up to you. You decide to take the leap and ask the person for their Instagram. After a moment that feels like an eternity, they spell out the handle, and with sweaty, shaking hands, you type it into your phone. Maybe this sounds a little far-fetched. Most of us are meeting our potential soulmates in the midst of a post-bridge adrenaline high. But this scenario is based on a classic psychology study from 1974. It found that men who crossed a dangerous bridge were more likely to approach an attractive woman than men who crossed a safe bridge. Adrenaline, attraction, courage, love, they all got mixed together. And the different effects seem to suggest that defining our feelings or emotions and where they come from is more complicated than we might believe. We know that emotions involve both the mind and the body, but we're still not sure about the exact connection between them and what effect that connection has. Even though we don't all have the answers, psychologists do have a few ideas. Let's see how we feel about that. I'm Deja Fitzgerald, and this is Study Hall, Intro to Psychology. You know when you're on hold and you're transferred to another department for a fourth time? Maybe your heart rate is rising and your face is getting red because you do not want to explain your issue to a robot voice again. That's anger. But there's more going on here. There's also irritation and that feeling. That's anger too. Emotions are complex patterns of response to events or situations that matter to you. And just like how your body and mind are both part of the anger you're feeling because all you want is to finally get your Wi-Fi working again so you can watch Love Island in peace, emotions involve physiological changes in our bodies and psychological changes in our minds, which might even change our behavior. But definitions get trickier when we start trying to categorize specific emotions. In fact, as of 2023, psychologists are still split into two main schools of thought. One school of thought says we can categorize emotions using two or more dimensions. A bunch of theories called dimensional theories of emotion basically say that all of our emotions fall along different spectrums because they have similar foundations. Let's try it with two dimensions. On the horizontal axis is valence, which is like the range from positive to negative or pleasant to unpleasant. Then on the vertical axis is arousal, which in psychological terms means a state of emotional excitement or activation. High arousal emotions are ones that really affect the body, like anger or anxiety, and they're toward the top of the chart. And low arousal emotions that don't cause a lot of physiological effects are near the bottom, like boredom or calmness. So happiness would be the part of the chart far over to the right, and somewhat up because it's very positive, but not super high intensity. And anger is way over to the left and really high up because it's negative and super intense. All the dimensional theories agree that valence and arousal are core parts of all emotions, but some add other dimensions, like a time-related aspect. For example, optimism is future focus and regret is past focus. But again, all dimensional theories say that our emotions are relative and exist on some form of spectrum. But is there some aspect of anger that's inherent just to anger? That's exactly the question that supporters of the discrete theory of emotion tackle. This theory says that we humans have a finite set of specific emotions, each with their own distinct ways they affect us. This theory is basically like the Pixar movie Inside Out, where each little personified emotion is its own separate entity. There isn't any overlap between disgust and sadness or fear and anger, like dimensional theories would propose. In fact, Inside Out is partially based on actual psychological research done by facial expression psychologist Dr. Paul Ekman and others throughout the 20th century. The research built on the foundation of the discrete theory of emotion. By linking emotions to distinct facial expressions, Ekman found that 7 expressions of emotion are common across the human experience, in every known culture and in pretty much every stage of life. The 7 expressions show enjoyment, sadness, surprise, fear, anger, disgust, and my favorite, contempt. So we either believe that emotions share certain dimensions and fall along spectrums, or each one is completely distinct. Both have strong support, so let's go over evidence in favor of each. When thinking about dimensional theories of emotion, it's important to remember that emotions also include our biological responses, like hearts racing when we're angry. And our biological responses aren't discrete. Our heart rate doesn't just toggle between 50 beats per minute when we're calm and 90 beats per minute when we're angry. On the other hand, subjective experiences are also part of emotions, and we think of them as more discrete. Like joy feels very different from pride, even though they're close on a dimensional emotional chart. And think of our words. We talk about our emotions in discrete ways. That Pharrell song isn't called "I'm feeling mildly aroused with really positive valence." No, it's called happy, and good luck getting that tune out of your head for the rest of the day. But lots of languages have specific words or feelings that don't exist in other languages. For example, Itzoarpak is an Inuit word that describes the feeling of anticipation for someone to arrive. And like we talked about in our episode on intelligence, language plays a huge role in how we think about and express ourselves. So it's hard to say whether we talk about discrete emotions because they are discrete, or whether our language shapes our experience. Like I said, both theories have solid evidence. No one knows for sure which of these is correct, or if it's something else entirely. So many psychologists currently believe both views are correct in certain ways. Like maybe there is a distinct disgust family of emotion that has a spectrum of emotions within it. From annoyance when two foods touch on your plate to massive heebie-jeebies when you see a porcelain doll in a dark room. Until we do more research into emotions, there are lots of open questions about what they are and how to sort them. And though we agree they evolve both our minds and bodies, we're still figuring out exactly where emotions come from and how our mind and body are intertwined exactly. There are several schools of thought, and we'll start with the oldest one, James Lange theory, which was proposed in the late 19th century. It says that emotions begin with the body. Basically, whatever we're feeling is a response to something that's happening physically. Like when my brain registers that my eyes are watering up, I'll then feel sad. Any allergy sufferers out there are going, I don't know about that. And yeah, the James Lange theory isn't perfect. It's been heavily criticized for decades, especially considering that many bodily responses, like a pounding heart, could be associated with more than one emotion, like fear and anger and anxiety. More recently, the psychologist Richard Lazarus created the cognitive motivational relational theory in the 1990s and argued that cognition is necessary for emotions. So first, you notice something. Then your brain appraises or evaluates it. This can be either conscious, like you're actively thinking, "That cat looks friendly," or it could be unconscious, and you're not aware of the appraisal. Either way, your brain decides whether the thing affects you, like if it's dangerous, helpful, or irrelevant. Next, the brain moves on to the second appraisal and figures out how to deal with whatever you've noticed. And finally, your brain creates an emotion as part of your response. So the cognitive motivational relational theory says that what you think, or your cognitive appraisal, plus your core relational themes or the beliefs behind your emotions, defines how we interpret stimuli. Like, what exactly am I feeling? It's all very fast, of course, but one comes before the other. Now, the third school of thought basically says, hey wait, both of you are hella wrong about this. The Cannon-Barr theory is all about your thalamus, which is the brain region nestled deep in your noggin and kinda acts like your brain's quarterback. It relays messages between your spinal cord, the offensive coordinator, and the rest of your brain, the football team. And Cannon-Barr theory says that your emotions are a result of your thalamus sending signals to your brain and body at the same time. Our psychological response and our physiological response don't cause one another. They happen roughly simultaneously. And finally, the Shatter-Singer theory, also called the two-factor theory of emotion, brings language into the picture. It says that our emotions come from our physiological response to a situation and how we're thinking of that situation. So first, a stimulus causes a physiological response, but that response doesn't just happen. We assess the strength of this feeling and we also label it in our minds. And together, those two things result in an emotion. Take that dangerous bridge from earlier. The participants felt their hearts pounding, which is a state of high arousal. When the attractive person gave them their Instagram, in their heads they labeled this same sensation as excitement or even lust. So that's the emotion they were feeling. To get a better look at how these four theories are different, let's say you're wandering in a forest. Suddenly, you see a bear behind a tree just ahead of you. In an instant, several things seem to happen all at once. You feel fear. Your palms are sweaty, your knees are weak, arms are heavy. You realize you're afraid, and you back away from that bear faster than an Eminem verse about mom spaghetti. But each model has a different order for these steps. In the James Lange model, you see the bear. Then your heart starts beating fast. Then your brain interprets this change in your body and responds with a feeling of fear. Then you back away. In the cognitive, motivational, relational model, you see the bear and your brain appraises the bear as dangerous. You have some core beliefs about danger, what helps your brain decide how to deal with it. You quickly realize you left your bear spray at home, so you immediately become afraid. That makes your heart beat fast. Then you back away. In the Cannon-Bard model, you see the bear and your thalamus kicks into gear. Then you feel fear and your heart pounds at the exact same time, and you back away. And finally, in the two-factor model, you see the bear and immediately feel your heart hammering. You identify this feeling as intense, and then your brain labels this sensation as fear. You realize you are afraid, and you back away. Honestly, we can't say what happened for sure, but psychologists are confident that our emotions are impacted by both our minds and our bodies, even if they don't agree on the exact order and mechanisms. And that's pretty much where the field is at when it comes to emotions. They're a bit of everything: physiological and mental, discrete and dimensional, sensation and language. That's helpful for being able to understand how we feel and why we react in certain ways. Knowing more might make us even more able to regulate our emotions and act accordingly. But until we have definitive evidence for one theory about the nature of emotions, we can embrace the unknown. Maybe that frustrates you. Maybe you feel surprised. Or maybe you're inspired to be the one who solves the mystery once and for all. If you're enjoying Study Hall Intro to Psychology and are interested in taking an online course and earning college credit, visit gostudyhall.com or click on this button to learn more. Thanks for watching. See you next time.